And as I'm sitting with your question about how do I make the right choices, how do I make decisions when it's all really messy? And sometimes we can get really hooked in or caught up in, it can be other people's opinions, or it might even be impact on other people, things like that. And that makes it really hard to make a decision when we're trying to weigh up what might be right for everybody in this. What's the best I can do in this for everybody? And that, most of the time, will feel like an impossible situation. So, and that's the tricky bit. The tricky bit is, how do we practice that feeling of what's right for me? How do I recognize that? Because it's quite a subtle thing. Because a lot of those, if we think about the complications, the messy bits, we're thinking about, oh no, what would this person say, or what would they think, what would happen there, or maybe all of this kind of stuff. We're trying to think of outcomes. And then we're trying to base our decision based on all the different outcomes. So it's like we're trying to control it, really. And there's no freedom in that. When we're trying to control an outcome, we're trapped in that. So we don't have free choice. So when we're able to let go of the outcomes, this is not such an easy thing to do, but when we're able to let go of the outcome and actually bring our trust into the process of trusting that, okay, if option A feels right for me, I have no idea what the outcome is, there could be a whole lot of fallout, but this feels like the best option for me. So it might be you're trying to decide, you want to move country and you're trying to decide where to move to, yeah? And it might just feel like, okay, option A really feels like the one I want to do. Everybody might be telling you, no, go to B, go to C, go to D, whatever, but you're really feeling, no, I really feel something about A. And that might be all that we are able to go on. Just that feeling of, something feels right for me about this. Yes. And that's all we might know. That gives us the ability to take a step. And so when we take that step, we then find out what happens then. And it may or may not work out. So when we take a step and we find out what happens there, that now gives us another piece of information. So we may go with option A, but then realize, I can't afford option A. Okay, back to the drawing board. But I've made my choice and I can live with that. I go back to the drawing board and I look at, affordability. I never considered that before now. So each time we make a little decision and we take a step, we're always finding out something. And all of these parts added together, they help us make the decision. But the key part is that it feels like a free decision. It feels like, yeah, I can live with that decision now. Because I've considered all the different options and I've tried to take my different steps and I found out what happened in each of those. Like right now, you're in a situation of, I really want a job, but I don't know exactly what job I want. So every option is an option. But the truth is, not every option is an option. There will be certain options. So how do we narrow that down? Yeah. And the only guideline that we have, the only thing in our inner world that we have for that is that intuition, that feeling of what would I like to do, what would I enjoy doing, or what would work for me. That's just our starting point. As we take steps in that, as we start exploring, at a certain point something will just feel right. It'll just feel like, yeah, this is the right option. When we try and control the outcome, or we feel like we have all the options, it's really hard to make a decision. I was watching this, I think it was a TED Talk. I think it was a TED Talk about dating, right? It was really interesting. And I'll share it with you, it might help you. And so this, I think it was a woman, she was talking about how years ago, and we all lived in little villages, and so when you go down to the village square or whatever it was, and you were looking for a partner, there was only, maybe 2 or 3 options that we could consider, yeah? So out of those, let's say 3 options, you might choose your favorite one and, see how that worked out. And if that didn't work out, you'd go for option 2, option 3, whatever. But with the invention of internet, it can feel like we have every option. We could date anybody in any country all over the world. How are we supposed to make a decision in that? It gives us too many options. And then it becomes messy. The reality is, what's truly available to us hasn't really changed that much. In the sense of, what's right for us is only one particular thing. It's just that one feeling of, yes, this job is right for me, or this partner is right for me, or this car is right for me, whatever it is. There will only be that option that feels right like that. Or there might be a couple that feel that kind of right. All the other options are way, way down the scale. So practicing that feeling of recognizing, yeah, this feels right for me, that just allows us to take that step. And that we can freely choose. But it's accepting that we don't have all the millions of options.